Bridesmaids and Groomsmen. Let's talk about them. Okay, so these days you would have traditionally a best man, a maid of honor, groomsmen, bridesmaids, flower girls, and page boys. Now, obviously, you can mix it up however you want, and there are other people you can add to a bridal party. Let's talk about each role and talk about what it is they're supposed to do. Let's start with the maid of honor. Traditionally, the maid of honor would have been someone that's already married, and her job role would be to support the bride and help the bride with anything she needed in order to be ready for her big day and answer any questions. Let's roll it back a few years. That may be the first day that they find out about the birds and the bees, and it is up to the maid of honor to guide them through this process. Obviously, today we don't generally tend to have that problem that much. So the maid of honor these days really is there to support the bride with everything that she needs, and also to help her in terms of like setting up her hen party or a bridal shower, whatever you want to call it. But to be honest, the maid of honor can really do whatever it is that the bride needs her to do. And often this would be one of the bride's closest friends or a sister or something like that. But it doesn't have to be female. It could be a man. And you know what? These days you don't even have to have one. You can have a couple if you want to. With regards to bridesmaids, actually originally the bridesmaids and the maid of honor would all have been dressed in exactly the same outfit as the bride. And that is one to ward off evil spirits that would have been coming for the bride. Again, don't really think we have that problem these days. And the second reason would have been if someone was coming to try to capture the bride, they wouldn't really know which one it was. Nowadays, obviously, we like to get the bridesmaids wearing matching outfits. They can be the same dress, or it could be a similar style dress, similar colors, but in different shapes and sizes, etc. So it's very obvious to everybody that they are the specially selected people that have been given the job of being a maid of honor and bridesmaids. Please remind your bridesmaids that actually the day is about you, because some bridesmaids can get a little bit carried away and feel like the day is about them. The definition of the word, the bridesmaids, like they are the maids that are supposed to be looking after the brides. Like going to the loo in a wedding dress is a whole different situation, and bridesmaids, maid of honor, may be called in for that situation as well. Next, we're going to go to best man. So let's talk about the history of the best man. The history of the best man actually is that he would stand next to the groom, ready to draw his sword so that he would be able to ward off anyone that was trying to stop the ceremony. Now, that could be the bride's father. It could be, someone from a rival village coming to take the bride for themselves. I mean, it could be anyone. And the idea was that the best man and the groomsmen were there ready to protect the couple for the ceremony. We like to think that at that time, the bride was willing and madly in love with the groom, and, it may have been like her brothers that didn't want them to get married, and not that she'd been kidnapped from her village and was being forced to marry the groom. We'll go with the first version. So best man is traditionally the person that the groom would pick as the person that's going to support him the most. They would also organize the stag do, and is really responsible for making sure the groom actually turns up dressed, and turns up not hungover preferably. Think wisely when you choose your best man. And also think wisely when you allow them to organize the stag do. We've all seen the movies. These days, the groomsmen that can also be called ushers are basically there as a support. It's the ushers and the best man that are there to basically get people seated, to give them the program of what's happening during the ceremony, if there's a hymn sheet or something like that. Could also hand out order of the day. They often hand out the confetti so that people are ready to throw the confetti on the way out. It can be quite handy from a photographer's perspective to find out who the best man or the ushers are, because they're quite good to help with the group photos. Sometimes also the best man or one of the ushers will be used to announce the couple into the room. So once the couple are ready to go in and sit down for the 3-course meal, it's quite often that someone will announce them in as the new Mr. and Mrs. or Mrs. and Mrs. or Mr. and Mr., followed by the last name that they've chosen to have. So that kind of covers those and the traditions. The other thing that you can have is obviously flower girls and page boys. So the flower girls would usually have a basket. They're usually children, and they would drop petals, and they're the first ones down the aisle. And the page boys usually follow after them, and they would carry, one of them would carry a pillow which has the rings tied to it. I'm gonna be honest, most of the time they just carry a pillow and someone else has the rings somewhere else. But you can tie the rings to it, and it is very cute. You can also get them these days. They have like these little suitcases, and you dress them up as FBI agents, and it says ring security on the suitcase, and they get like the whole earpiece and the sunglasses, and they wear suits, and it's really, really cute. I have seen it recently, which I love, and I kind of wish I'd done it at my wedding because it would have been so funny, which is that you have either the mother and the mother-in-law or the grandmas be the flower girls. And so they come down first as the flower girls, and it's quite fun. And then more recently, I'm sure you've all seen, but those spectacular videos of the groomsmen with basically like a bum bag full of petals, and they sort of arrive at the aisle, and then they start to throw the petals, and they do this like really fun entrance, and they are the flower girl. I think that shows that really you can just have fun with it and you can do whatever you want. But traditionally, those are the people that you would have around you on your wedding day as your selected special people. So yeah, have fun with it. Send me photos. See what you do. Cheesy smile at the end. Forgot to smile.